Cobra Kai fans, there's a huge question surrounding the Miyagi-verse right now. Is Cobra Kai Season 7 actually happening? Or are we looking at the end of the original series and the beginning of something completely different? Because as of August 20th, 2026, there is still no official announcement for Cobra Kai Season 7. And honestly, that might not be bad news. Season 6 was always designed to be the final chapter of Cobra Kai. Netflix and the creators made it clear that the story of Johnny, Daniel, and their students was coming to an end. So if you've seen social media posts claiming that Season 7 has already been secretly confirmed, don't believe them unless Netflix or the official creators announce it. But here's where things get interesting. Cobra Kai may be finished, but the Karate Kid universe isn't necessarily finished. The creators have talked about having more ideas for the Miyagi-verse, and that's a very important distinction. They don't necessarily need to bring back Cobra Kai as Season 7 to continue telling stories in this world. In fact, the ending of Season 6 almost feels like a passing of the torch. Johnny and Daniel finally reached a point where their rivalry wasn't controlling their lives anymore. Miguel, Robbie, Sam, Tori, Hawk, and Dimitri all reached new stages in their lives. And that creates a fascinating possibility. What if the next Miyagi-verse series isn't about them being students anymore? What if they're the senseis? Think about Miguel. He started as a teenager who needed Johnny's guidance. But imagine seeing him several years later, standing in front of his own students and trying to teach them the lessons Johnny taught him. Robbie could have an equally interesting journey. He spent years struggling with anger, abandonment, and the feeling that he wasn't good enough. Now imagine him meeting a teenager who reminds him of his younger self. Tori could be even more interesting. Instead of constantly fighting to survive, she could become a mentor to kids who are dealing with the same problems she once faced. And then there's Hawk and Dimitri. They could return from college with completely different perspectives and potentially become part of a new dojo, or even create one of their own. Suddenly, the central question isn't who can win the next tournament. It's what kind of sensei will these characters become? And that would actually be a natural evolution of Cobra Kai. The entire franchise has always been about legacy. Daniel learned from Mr. Miyagi. Johnny learned from Kreese, even though he eventually rejected many of Kreese's teachings. Then Miguel, Robbie, Sam, Tori, Hawk, and the others inherited pieces of those philosophies. Now it's their turn to decide what happens next. And that's where the Miyagi-verse could become much bigger than Cobra Kai. We could also see the franchise move backward instead of forward. A young Mr. Miyagi story has been discussed by fans for years, and there have been conversations about exploring different periods of the Karate Kid timeline. But again, there's an important difference between an idea and an official project. Right now, there is no confirmed Miyagi prequel, no confirmed Miguel spin-off, no confirmed Robbie series, and no confirmed Cobra Kai Season 7. So we shouldn't treat fan-made trailers, fake Netflix announcements, or social media rumors as official news. But there's another reason I think the future could be exciting. The next story doesn't have to repeat Cobra Kai's formula. We've already had Johnny versus Daniel. We've had rival dojos, tournament battles, betrayals, redemption arcs, and eventually the Sekai Taikai. Doing the exact same thing again could make the franchise feel repetitive. Instead, imagine a story about legacy. Imagine Miguel training a student who reminds him of who he used to be. Imagine Robbie meeting someone struggling with anger and realizing he now has the responsibility to guide them. Imagine Tori helping a young fighter who believes the world is against them. And imagine Daniel and Johnny appearing occasionally as the older generation, giving advice instead of being the center of every conflict. That could allow the universe to continue without making every story about the same rivalry. Because the most interesting question for the Miyagi-verse might not be, who is the strongest fighter? It might be, what happens when the students become the teachers? And honestly, that's the story I'd love to see. Maybe Cobra Kai really is finished. Maybe Season 6 will remain the final season forever. But the lessons, characters, and philosophies created by Cobra Kai don't have to disappear. The franchise could simply pass the torch to another generation. And that might be the best way to make the Miyagi-verse feel fresh again. So as of August 20th, 2026, here's the bottom line. There is no officially confirmed Cobra Kai Season 7. But that doesn't mean the Karate Kid universe has reached the end. The real future could be something much bigger. And maybe the next generation of Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai won't be students at all. They'll be the senseis. Now I want to hear from you. Would you rather see Cobra Kai Season 7? Or would you prefer a brand new spin-off following Miguel?